I want to finally use the Tynn Gynt that I bought in Norway in the summer, which is, I mean, coming up on a year ago. I would like to use it because I wanted it enough to buy it, and now it's just been sitting in my closet waiting to get used. So let's actually use it. It's this beautiful blue color, and I am going to use that yarn to make this beautiful pattern, the Bloodroot tee by Andrea Gaughan. I am going to go a bit rogue. I don't think I will be gauge swatching because who has the time for that? And I'm just intrigued by the construction. So let's see how that goes. This weekend we are visiting my partner's family, and I have been doing a lot of knitting but not a lot of filming, and I wanted to catch up with you. I've now spent 10.5 hours on this. I'm timing this to see just because I want to, and I am nearly at the point where I start increasing on both the body and the sleeves. This is a very interesting construction where the sleeves are set in from the beginning, so it's not a raglan, but I tried it on and it does look promising. I didn't really gauge swatch for this because it's a ribbed pattern, and I thought that it's going to be pretty much what it needs to be. I also tend to have a tighter gauge than most pattern designers, so I just went up a fourth of a size. So instead of the recommended 2.75, I went for a 3mm needle. But what did I want to say? Yeah, right. I got really tired of having to refer back to the pattern for whatever increase I'm making, if it's make one left or make one right. So I made a little rule for myself. So I decided that for the left leaning increases, make one left, I would go for honesty. So I poke the needle in from the front, honest, straight to the front. For make one right, I decided that is going to be a backstabbing one, because the right leaning parties in Sweden are backstabbing. Then I decided to colour code these, because I not only had to refer back to the pattern to see which one was which, but also at what point does which increase come. So I colour coded my stitch markers. So pink is for the girlies, for the honesty, for the left leaning increases, and blue is the colour of the used to be moderate party in Sweden, which is now quite right leaning, because there is a very, very clear example of backstabbing in that party. It's the party that the current Prime Minister belongs to, and he shook hands with a survivor from the Holocaust, telling her to her face and in front of cameras, because this was obviously for the cameras, promising her that they would never collaborate with the far-right nationalist party in Sweden, the Sweden Democrats. And guess what they are doing now? So Ulf Kristersson, this colour coding is thanks to you and your backstabbing, scheming little fuckeries. Do you have any unhinged memory rules? Please let me know. I think these are so funny because they just sort of grow organically as you go along, don't they? Okay, so I have now done about 16 hours of work on this, and I just started at the third ball. I have 4. Now, I am not a member of any sort of large chested community, so this, and I don't know how much this is going to stretch down. I have a thought, because I have some of the Rama fin ull left from my juicy fruit mittens, and I wonder if that's the same weight as this or same-ish, because if it is, then I could use that as like a few stripes, and I could do that on the body as well as on the sleeves. But I'm just not very much for wearing stripes or wearing patterns. I don't know if it's a habit thing or what it is, but I definitely prefer a single block colour. So I don't know what I want to do, because I think I want the sleeves to be a bit longer. So I don't want to skimp on that and just go for the cap sleeved version. I think at least as long as the black shirt that I'm wearing underneath. One reason for that being definitely that I tend to get bruises up here from my team practices where I tackle people, and that would be unfortunate to rock this beautiful tee and then just a bruise. So a bit of a longer sleeve. I also want the neckline to be in the same blue, so I should probably get around to doing the neckline so I see how that sort of cinches in. I could also do a mid-project block to see how this grows lengthwise, because I'm not going to find the same dye lot, and I don't want to buy more yarn. I would like to use every last piece of this yarn that I bought and nothing more. So, but at the same time, this is the widest part of the entire piece, and I think it's up till here is 1 ball, then 2 balls, 3 balls. It's going to be cutting it very short. I don't want it to be too cropped either. Okay, I will knit the neckband because that is a part of the design. I am going to knit the cap sleeved version first, which is just adding a centimetre or 2, so picking up the stitches underneath the arm. and knitting a tiny length, and then knit as long as I can on the body. If I end up liking where the body hits before I run out of yarn, I go back and add to the sleeves. If I run out of yarn before I am happy with the length, I will add a stripe of a contrasting colour and then buy another ball of this yarn to finish it off, because if I have two different dye lots and I break it up with a very harsh contrasting line, no one is going to see that one of the yarns before and after is a bit darker or lighter than the other one. So I think that is my plan of action. This project is definitely fun, but it's also very straining on the fingers because the wool in this is quite rough. So it's very finely spun but quite rough yarn. So it does strain my hands quite a bit more than I'm used to with natural fibre. I would normally, or an animal fibre, I would normally expect this from like a cotton or a linen, but not a wool. So do that what you will. I'm also, oh, did I have that on my head all the time? I'm also not, do I love the colour? I would have wanted it to be green. Of course I wanted it to be green. But I'm trying to figure out what colours actually work for me as opposed to what colours I just like. I know that green works for me and I like it. Or if it doesn't work, I don't care. I'm wearing it anyway. But this whole colour season thing, I would like to figure out. If it's not just bogus consumerism stuff trying to get us to toss out everything we own and buy new things. But I think I like jewel tones, whatever that means. So today is the 15th of April and this is the progress that I have at the moment. So since last update, I've been just working the body. I also picked up the sleeves and knit the cap sleeved option. I knit the collar as long as I wanted it to be. Then I purled one row to make it flip inwards, and then I knit the rest of the collar in the white Rauma Finull that I have, and then I'm going to sew it down with the blue yarn on the inside so it doesn't really show, and if it does peek through it's going to just be a very light white. So I think this is an okay-ish option. The Rauma Finull is definitely a bit thicker than the other yarn, but you know, I didn't have enough of the blue to go through with all of it, so I will just have to be happy with this, and if I'm not, then I can always change it. If this were to be too itchy on my throat, then I'll just change it out for something else. That's fine. So I tried it on and it does hit me a bit too short on the body so far. I think, however, that I'm going to give this a mid-project block because I would ideally like to add at least another centimetre on the sleeves. The body I would also like to add as much as possible too. Probably it would need, as it is right now, it would need another 4 centimetres or something for me to be comfortable wearing it, feeling appropriately covered with it, because this is something that I do want to wear at work. And yes, my work doesn't have a very strict dress code, but I need to look professional. So showing off my belly button is not something that I do at work. And this is currently a belly button showing tee. So I'm going to give this a mid-project block. I'm going to toss it in some hot water and hang on, hello, and we will see where that leaves me lengthwise. I should measure gauge for this. Let's actually do this properly, shan't we? Shan't we? That is correct, but also too posh. I have a sidetrack problem. I got this really cute basket for my birthday. It's so silly. It's a chicken and he's my biological child. The problem is that I completely forget that I have this because I have my yarn hoard stashed away in 2 different places in the apartment. I do have my work in progress pouch, which is such a beautiful piece in and of itself. And then I have this, and I will not tell you how long I was looking for my interchangeable needle set, because I've been going through purses, and I don't use purses because I thought that they are somewhere. Did I forget them at my father-in-law's house? Did I forget them? Did I lose them on a train somewhere? Because it just didn't occur to me to look within my child to find what is supposed to be within my child. And also I didn't need to get my whip pouch because my tape measure was apparently here. Okay, scatterbrained Lucy over here. So I'm measuring my row gauge now because my stitch gauge isn't very interesting. It's a 2x2 rib. It's going to stretch either way. It works fine now. I'm not too fussed about it growing or shrinking because I will wear it, and with the body heat it's going to be the size it is. But I want to know if the row gauge shape changes between now and after I blocked it. So in 10 centimeters I have 39.5 rows per 10 centimeters. And also counting in English feels very strange. I mean, I read numbers perfectly fine in English, but I don't remember the last time I counted to 39 in English, just like that. I think it must have probably been as I was learning it, because what other time would I actually count to 40 in English? I mean, with kids, is someone doing their laundry naked? No, they're just wearing a beige t-shirt. My dude, that was a poor fashion choice. I mean, you do you, but you do look nude. I'm sitting just across the road from our laundry unit section, and someone was walking past the windows looking just nude on top. I do appreciate a bit of cheeky nudity, but also don't do that. It's a communal space. Get a grip. What did I say? 39 rows. Yes, and I'm going to block it and see what happens. Okay, listen, I have a problem and it's so silly, but I've been putting off finishing this video for weeks now because every time I want to model my tea, I have really bad bruises on my arms because we are currently training very physically at team practice, and we pull and yank on each other, so my arms are just completely full of bruises, and I don't want to show off my tea looking like that. And that is so, it feels so vain, but at the same time it feels like respectful, because they are from like grips, so I'm always afraid that someone is going to see them and be triggered by thoughts of like domestic abuse. And I just want to wear a t-shirt that says, "Don't mind my bruises, my teammates love me," or something. But it's just, I think, are they actually looking better? I think so. Yeah, okay, I could probably model the t-shirt today, or I'll do it tomorrow in the sunlight. I'll do that because I finished weeks ago. I have worn it and I've loved wearing it, except for the neckline. It is too thick, and I don't know when I'm going to fix it. I don't know how I'll fix it either, and right now I can't be bothered to. So, finishing thoughts on the Bloodroot tea, while I will show you a clip of me wearing the tea, bruised and all. Me knitting a 2x2 rib is just, after a while, it's just incredibly boring. You can't get around it, it's just very boring. I liked how clear the pattern was. I really think I like the theory behind, or like the spirit behind, Andrea Gaughan's patterns. I've seen how incredibly thoughtfully she designs, and she's been very attentive in Slack for this knit along. I just don't know that the fit is actually that good for me. I think the pointiness of the picked up sleeve stitches round here is just a bit too much for me. So I'm not blown away by this project. Now, I found the pattern quite clear, except for in one instance where you pick up, or when you've finished knitting the body and you are ready to split for sleeves, and what to do then, because a lot of the patterns have an odd number of stitches of the same valor, knits or purls, and a lot of the questions in Slack came up that were like, what do? I have this stitch combination, how is this correct? And I had the same issue, and there is a solution for it. Andrea Gaughan was very helpful, and a lot of people answered that they had the same experience, and yes, this is correct by the pattern, but I found it quite unintuitive, so I just futzed around a bit because I thought that I was miscalculating, that I had made a mistake somehow in my rib repeats. But it's not something that affects this pointy bit of the shoulder at all. So because it's down here where you split for the underarm. So very clear pattern, except for that one. I like how the pattern is size inclusive and body type and body and fit preference inclusive without gendering anything. And I give myself a B on construction, because I think I followed the pattern quite well. The rib looks nice and neat, and my issue is with the yarn that I chose. The recommended yarn is far softer and wouldn't have been this scratchy. So had I actually followed the recommendations, then my experience would have been completely different. So I think it's a good autumn transitional piece. It's going to be a good layering piece as well. But now in the spring, I don't know if I'll get that much use out of it yet. But stranger things have happened. So I will continue tracking all of my wares in my index app. And I will do like a wrap up of the year of my knits when we get around to December. So that is quite, I'm looking forward to that a lot. And if any of you haven't seen this before, these are the Sailor Slippers by Andrea Gaughan. And I am knitting like 6 pairs of them for a bachelorette party that's coming up. So that's what I'm doing right now. So with all that, this was a good companion on long train rides. It didn't cure me of my carpal tunnel syndrome at all. Switching between knits and purls is what strains my hands the most. I don't know if that is a universal thing, but that was not the best ergonomically for me. The resulting top is nice. I don't know how much use I will get out of it, partly because of my colour choice, partly because of my yarn choice, and partly because the neckline is just, it's too thick and it's too scratchy. And if I find that that is an issue further on, I will have to go back and fix it. I mean, I do have the intention of fixing it, but just not right now, because I have other things to knit on that feel much more interesting and much more prioritized for this time of year. Because the Bloodroot tee, as I have made it, I don't think that I will wear until the autumn rolls around, because now we are headed into warm weather. I mean, no, not at all yet, but I would like to. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like the video. Please consider subscribing to my channel so you have me pop up in your feed the next time I post. Next up will be a knitting podcast, which I aim to film twice a month. So that is coming up next, and all of the good stuff. Also, we adopted a cat. She's so scared. She has now hid under the bathtub for, I don't know, 36 hours straight. We know that she's used the litter box. We know that she's eaten some food and had some water, but then she just goes back to underneath the bathtub. And I feel so bad for her, because we have prepared a room with all of the soft things, and there is light and there is a windowsill for her to sit in, and then she just hides in the dark underneath the bathtub. Silly cat. Oh yeah, well, cats being cats, am I right? That's it. See you next time. Bye.